Welcome back, Wazoo Nation. I'm excited as all heck. You have no idea. I hope you enjoyed the last episode. I opened my heart to you, and it was nothing but truth, nothing but truth, so help me God. But anyhow, as I said, that was based on drugs. Now we're talking about rock and roll. I mean, of course, we did say drugs, rock and roll, and survival Chicago. Here with me today is one of my best friends growing up, Pony. And I'm gonna let him explain how basically how we met, and also after that, how the name Pony came about. Shoot away, Wazoo.
Good morning, friends. Wazoo Nation. Good to be here. I met Eddie 1977. We are the products of being only children. Nobody else really liked us. So we found each other that
Just love
way.
you so.
Yeah. We shared a fondness for smoking a lot of weed.
Oh,
Eddie turned me on to the world of banana cream pie and the House of Wasson French fries. Some of you have, if you've not been to the House of Wasson, it used to be at Wilson and Lincoln, and it grew into the restaurant that it is. But I digress. So my nickname comes from the fact that we were products of the '70s, and I had long black hair, which I could swivel around.
put a ponytail, by the way, which I could never do, which
Yeah,
really
yeah.
aggravated because I look like a bozo.
And I was a true rocker, and still am. I just have shorter hair now. So Eddie and I became friends, and the rest is history.
Of course, it was one of the parents that said, "Boy, he runs around like a little pony."
Yeah.
So that's the name
Yeah.
Pony started, and how the name sticks.
Yeah.
Now we got to that point. Let's talk about the rock and roll. And why it's so important that my friend Pony's here with myself right now is because the reason we did so many concerts, by the way, first of all, we have to mention, right? We're doing this in dedication for our good friend Jim Browdy. God rest his soul.
Love you, Jim.
Love you and miss you. And the reason we're doing this is because there's always a connection, as I always say. It was his sister Agnes that used to work for Ticketmaster at Sears at Lawrence Avenue, and we would always get tickets always within the first 10 rows. We had second row for Rush, the seventh row for Van Halen, he and I, ninth row for Deep Purple. I mean, we're kids, for God's
Yeah.
sake.
We had to sleep in the alley a couple of times behind the Sears.
But hey, we were always going to concerts, kids. So the first concert that I actually had gone to myself, and this was before I actually came to Queen of Angels. It was I went with an uncle of mine, who, by the way, my mother loathed. She did not like him. But at my grandmother's house, and with his connection also with ponies, when he and I would get high all the time, my grandma was right in the neighborhood, right at Levitt and Berteau. And he and I would always go there, and my grandma would make stuffed cabbage, the best stuffed
Little
cabbage.
stuffed cabbage and a lot of Rhinelander.
Fuck, the best. The best. And we get high, and we had fucking dozens of those son of the bitches, you know. And she had the froze. She'd go to the freezer to go get the batch that she had left over from the time before. She loved it, and we enjoyed it. It was wonderful. So I'm over one time, the little rotary phone, the long cord, it's about 50 feet long. You could have choked 10 guys at the same time. It was not that long, and comes, my uncle picks it up, goes to the bedroom, comes back, and he goes, "Wow," and hangs the phone. And I go, "What's wrong?" He goes, "My girlfriend just broke up with me. He's going to a concert the next day." I go, my people said, "What a dumb bitch." Part of my friends said, "Wait, why'd you go to concert and break up with him afterwards?" I mean, it's Led Zeppelin, for God's sake. He was a kid, you want to go. Somehow I convinced it. I went to the concert. I got a T-shirt, by the way, which is the Led Zeppelin one. I had it at the top of the. It's yes. Well, I still have it, but it's in a quilt. No, it isn't. The deal is, it was a big one, and it was like, I was a big kid, yeah, for my kid, for which my daughter was a St. Ignatius, right? And it's like all thing, and that shirt for years, I never had a hold of it. I wore thousands of times, for God's sake, right?
We all had those shirts.
Old black shirts, and I paid $3 for it
Yeah.
because I wanted to pay $6 indoors, right? From back then. So I bought the thing that was, I'll never forget the greatest thing. When my first concert Led Zeppelin, my uncle, by the way, called me a chick magnet that day because I was a little blonde headed kid. I mean, as you can see, that like I was like an angel. But anyhow, gave it to my daughter. My daughter had it for a little while, and then my wife grabs all these T-shirts out, and she grabs it, made it cool. I almost want. I love her, and I wish later on I'll show the picture like that. But anyhow, but then the next one was with my friend Pony, and we went. He and I with a friend of ours, Pat, and
The Gipper.
the Gipper. And, the connection with Pat Gibbons is the deal is right. The reason the connection between he and I, the big connection, I guess you would say, is his father used to drink at this place called Margie's on Lincoln Avenue with my mother. So my mother, my mother talking in the bar like we do now, say, "Hey, my son, we're going to Queen of Angels," and he goes, "Don't worry." And he remember, you tell him, "Pat, you better watch out, Pat, come on." Like like Queen of Angels was like a rough school or something, but whatever. You like look out for him, and that's how it started with Pat. And that's how I was able to go to the concert because of Ted Nugent, right? Because they go, "Mom, I go with Pat Gibbons," and I remember Pat Gibbons calling my house and telling him, "Don't worry." Right, we told my mom, "Oh, he'll be okay. He'll be okay." So that was the next. So then we got two other ones. Now the next one actually happened next the band, which we'll talk about, but I want to wait till after that because there's a connection with myself later on.
Right.
But the other one was Deep Purple. Now he and I remember we're at Mark Rubin's house, right? And at the time, that's when I was starting to do coke and blow a lot. And it was goddamn, how old were we? We were still in high school, like junior high school, something like that, probably, right?
It's 84, so we were maybe 18, 19.
Right. And we did this Peruvian pink cocaine. And we used to call it Perico because it would taste and smell like cat piss if you even knew what all that smelled like. But that's what that was, the old saying was about that shit.
For those of you who
Yeah, no,
smell cat piss.
It's like it looks like skunk weed. Most people think skunk smells too. Like, well, that's pretty good, right? Like we have a skunk weed smells great, but the deal was we were doing a line, and for some reason I had a long sleeve sweatshirt said Schweinfurt on there, and I'm screaming in the concert with ninth row, "Child of time, child of time, child of time," really loud. And was it Ian Gillian? I think, or was
Ian
it
Gillan.
Ian Gillian? He goes, right. For that guy right there, this is my witness, right? He's my witness. He was there. For that guy right there, child in time. And this is what it was, a little effing kid, but I was a big kid back then like that. But these are the weird things, right? I mean, it's like unbelievable. It's nothing compared to the next story that he and I have. And actually, I'm gonna let Pony tell the story. Lead up to it, okay? The deal was back in the days, that's when they started patting people down at the amphitheater, right? And the deal was, he and I had this bowl that was about this fucking big. And he'll explain it. Please explain the situation, what it was composed of, and why we did, and everything like that.
So back in the day, we had our own bowls that we would smoke weed out of. They were both metal. Eddie's was gold, mine was silver, and at the top of it was what you called a little. It was a little bell-shaped bowl, and
Bell bowl.
the bell bowl, and it held, maybe
Nickel bag.
a nickel bag. So, because we were young and dumb, we
And full of
separated each part of the bowl and we put them in our shoes. And so, as we walk into we have these metal bowls in our shoes.
But you have to mention, remember, it had chambers.
And it had the resin chamber.
I mean, please explain what the idea, because we each had two chambers ourselves. So it was 4 chambers total thing, but explain what a resin chamber was.
So
while we did it.
a chamber went below the bowl, and as you smoked, it would extract the smoke and would go through the chamber, acting as a filter. And so it was just.
But you had weed in there, and the reason we had the weed in there is it would turn into almost like a.
It would turn into a paste.
Like a hashish almost.
Yeah, a resin. And we kept it for a year as we smoked, and we smoked many a bowl through there.
And when it got dry, when we mean dry, we couldn't find weed.
Yeah.
We would use those bowls.
We would smoke the resin. I don't know what it did other than,
Gil's head explode.
Yeah,
whatever.
pretty much. But yeah, we thought it was a good idea. And so we walk through and we get our seats, and
we're 7th row.
Seventh row.
So mind
you, at the time, Van Halen 1 just came out. And then
it was a Van Halen 2 album tour, I think.
Or Fair Warning, maybe it was. 78 or 79. Well, anyway, that's how far back it goes.
Because we saw Sabbath with Van Halen with Chico with their first album, remember?
Yeah.
So this is the next one.
Right. memory's a little blurry. So we put our bowls together, and so now it's a four-piece perpendicular piece of metal
Like a crowbar.
and like a crowbar, and we're smoking, and Eddie's doing his guitar solo and
Eruption.
and he's doing his fingers, and he stops and looks at me and Eddie. Eddie hits off the bowl, he passes it to me, and Eddie just does the Eddie face of
Van Halen.
Eddie Van Halen.
Points at us with the thimble.
Yeah,
Strike me.
because it was
the most
right there, and it was yeah, and
Whoops.
we thought it was the greatest thing in the
It
world.
was the greatest world, right? It was
the greatest thing in the world. It was Eddie Van Halen. I mean, we were what?
Dude, we were like, no,
This is
14, 15 years old.
yeah. We're just kind of jumping around.
I was 15,
Yeah,
possibly. Yeah, unfortunately, jumping all over the thing, but
What year was that?
80.
yeah.
It was. I think it was a Van Halen too. It was
Yeah,
right after
yeah.
the first one. But my story, but the reason we mentioned that connecting with Eddie Van Halen was when my wife and I had gotten married, we went to Cabo San Lucas. Now this was in 1992. So, and back then, now Cabo San Lucas, everybody knows about it. But back then, it was only one road, each way highway. And so I remember my wife. We stayed at the place called Hotel Palmilla. Now this was supposed to be like the creme of the creme places, actors stay there, which was true. The fact is, Hank stayed there when we were over there and all this stuff. It was a very famous place. Now, my wife wanted to get this room, and the deals back then, it was funny. It was room 69, the honeymoon suite. But anyways, the deal was like they're profits. But the deal is, she tried to get like this. So you understand back in the days when you had yellow pages, stuff like that, right? You didn't know internet and stuff like that. So you're calling them, please, can you do, like that? And she goes, oh, no, I apologize. She goes, you can request a room, but we're sorry, we can't reserve it. So then we get there, and then also, I'll never forget, the guy goes, oh, you did get room 69 after all. And my wife's all excited, and wow, he goes, a very, very famous person just stayed over there. As he's fucking telling me this thing, one of those guys that helped him with your luggage like that, it was a Mexican guy, a little Mexican guy, and then he goes like this. I got to play guitar. Eddie Van Halen and Bella Bertinelli stayed in our room the week before. Unbelievable. Right? So the key to this is a confession right now, all right? And I'm sure my wife's gonna hate me for this, but I am gonna confess.
Close your ears, Nancy.
My wife had asked me to stop smoking pot. All right, so the deal was, I mean, I'm still smoking now. Huh? It was a little while. I did go for a break there, and I remember I get this fucking incredible weed from Belize. This is beautiful shit. Back then, I used to just crash the shit and then take the weed with me. So then we are in the high. We're in this unbelievable place. It's almost like a palace. I mean, it was the most unbelievable room you ever seen. Like, it was right on the ocean. It was just incredible. And the deal was, I'll never forget. My wife and I were looking at every room. We're opening all the drawers. So that I figured this is for a perfect time. So I took the weed out and I threw it on the little end table thing. I close it up, right? And I walk off the side. And then all of a sudden, we walked up at the same time. We opened the drawer, and then I could see like the sun was shining right on there, and like that. Of course, my wife right off the bat suspicious, Justifiably so. You're right, honey. So the deal was, what is that? I go, my God! And it was just a beautiful bag. This is unbelievable.
Eddie Van Halen must have left it.
That's what I told her. That's exactly what I told her. I go, this is so unbelievable. What are the odds of this? She goes, I don't think it was Eddie Van Halen. Goes, it only makes sense. Look how beautiful it is. He didn't have the guts to throw it away or flush it down the toilet. Right? He didn't have the guts to do that. No.
He remembered you from the concert.
Connection of that. Oh my God. Right? Oh my God.
You were that kid,
12
12 years later.
So needless to say, later on, I'm fucking smoking joints bigger than my fucking finger, and the people, in fact, next to me left. I know they said anything, they changed rooms because their smoke was getting right inside their damn room. But that was our connection with Eddie Van Halen and stuff like that. And just I thought it was pretty wild, and just a lot of things in my life and our lives have happened. It was like, wow, what the hell just happened here? I just can't believe it. So, the deal is what I'm going to talk about now, and I'm going to end it with this because obviously we're going to need 2 episodes. And the reason is I apologize for overtaking you, Chef V, because we have to talk about his incredible career as a chef. Which, by the way, he did my first Christmas party. And remember when you did that Christmas
I
party?
do.
What was it?
Do you?
Yes, I do. Well, I remember everything. I don't get hangovers. But the deal is, water's a wonderful thing, kids. Just drink water between each drink. It's the tip of the week. But anyhow, I remember one of our friends, right? I'm going to say his name, I don't care. It was Robert Brooks, right? So anyways, the deal is he came to our party. They had so many Christmas parties. He comes to our party. So anyways, I had a dog back then. It was a chocolate lab named Hawk. And you made the most incredible steak. What was it? You did some kind of steak appetizer or something that was just,
Yeah, we did Wagyu beef back when nobody was doing Wagyu.
it was incredible. But obviously people must have been feeding my dog. So anyways, he walks in there late and what does Hawk do? Throws up right under his shoes, right when he first walks in the door. And it's like, you should, and all I could say was like, you should have came earlier. But anyways, that was my point. Anyhow, to tell you the truth, maybe I think we're going to do this one right now because this is special. And we will talk about my antifreeze days because obviously we had connection with that also because
A lot of concerts.
a lot of concerts and a lot of crazy things. But I hope you really enjoyed this. And I hope you enjoyed Ride the Pony, episode 1. Episode 2 is coming back. Go Wazoo Nation. Go home. Forget about it. Love you all.
Goodbye, friends.